Morning, guys. Everything new under the sun. This is breaking news. There's been another offensive, and this time it's by Israel, by the IDF on Quneitra. This is coming from debkafile.com. Tehran's planned two-border offensive prompts Israeli attack on al-qods and Hezbollah at Quneitra. Now, Quneitra is a town just off the northern border of Israel, quite close, and it's been the location of several different skirmishes, and it's an ongoing battle situation there, effectively, very close to Israeli borders. Iranian al-Quds and intelligence personnel and their subsidiary Shiite militias, chiefly Hezbollah, are embedded in Syrian command posts opposite Israeli Golan. They are disguised in Syrian uniforms. An IDF artillery and drone assault was reported by Damascus February 11th as hitting a former hospital in Quneitra and two Syrian army camps at the nearby village of Jabata al-Sha'ab. The notice omitted to mention that all three sites are occupied by Iranian, Shiite militias, and Hezbollah forces. So that includes the hospital. It says there they have been there for roughly 8 months. In July 2018, Netanyahu and then Chief of Staff General Eisenkot reached an understanding with Moscow, with support from Trump, for the Russian army to undertake to keep Iranian and their proxy forces out of the Israeli border region after the Syrian army recovered Quneitra. Moscow, at that time, promised that 8 posts manned by Russian military police would keep a 45-kilometer deep strip from the Golan off limits to those forces. The understanding never stood up, and so this is what led to this. Debkafile reported July 19th that Syrian posts had been taken over by Iranian Hezbollah forces posing as Syrian troops. So they're dressing up as Syrian troops in order to get in there. It goes on here. 3 weeks ago, January 21st, Iranian al-Quds battery posted outside Damascus launched a Fatah 110 missile towards Mount Hermon in reprisal for an Israeli cruise missile attack on Iranian facilities near Damascus. Debkafile offers 3 explanations for Israel's decision at this point in time, then to go for the Iranians and their proxies now, after giving them 8 months to settle in, just a few kilometers from the Golan. So here's the 3 reasons. So number one, Iran and Hezbollah have decided to inflame Israel's northern and Gaza borders. In turn, in the run-up to the parliamentary election April 9th, so the Israeli elections, they are increasing hostility just in time for these elections. As voting days approach, they will turn up the heat for conflagrations on both borders at once. And I suggest you use that. This plays into Netanyahu's re-election campaign because he's coming from a position of strength and able then to strike out if they strike Israel. And this looks good for him, I think. Number two, Netanyahu and his Likud party can't afford to let a security crisis veer out of control, especially when it's engineered by Tehran and Hezbollah. And number three, the IDF's new chief of staff, Lieutenant Kachavi, is revealed as having taken issue with some of his predecessor's principles and may be expected to be more proactive. And I suggest that's not going to be the case at all. I think this will play right into Netanyahu's re-election campaign. But, it's breaking news and ongoing strikes are occurring. I believe larger strikes aren't occurring because Netanyahu doesn't really want a cloud and doesn't want people to blame, the election on the strikes or suggest that there's manipulation there of the elections due to whatever strikes are going on. So I believe that after the election, once the prime minister is given a brand new mandate, there will be even larger strikes. But this isn't a current situation which Russia is not upholding their side of it. And they apparently allowed Syrian forces in there. I'm sure they're not confused at all by the garb that soldiers are wearing. I'm sure Russia knows exactly what's happening. And so this is a situation that I'm sure the IDF intelligence, the Israeli intelligence, military intelligence is discussing right now. And they're saying, what do we do about Russia letting these guys in? We had an agreement. They've never stood by it. There are no agreements. You never know what Russia actually wants. And Russia's not on Israel's side by any stretch. If they were, they would be withholding this agreement to keep Iran out of there. But we know Ezekiel 38 and 39 is lining up to occur. We know Isaiah 17 is lining up to occur. These events are converging, and this is a Bible prophecy. We're watching this live, if you will, occur before our eyes. And so it's interesting as the run-up to the elections occur, what escalations will happen, and then once given the mandate, what will the Prime Minister do after the elections? I suggest to you that there's going to be a huge run-up. Maybe that combined with some peace plan talks, as things are boiling over in the Middle East, we'll have this push for a new peace plan. Remember, if a peace plan comes, you need hostility, you need an increase in military activity, you need strikes happening. Otherwise, no one's going to have any interest in putting forth a peace plan. If they're in the middle of a war, then that's going to be a great incentive to agree to a peace plan. And so I suggest to you that that's what's going to happen after the Israeli elections. When the Prime Minister is clear then to do something, the Israeli military is clear of the elections to do something, and of course prior to U.S. elections. And so it's all going to come down basically in the latter half of this year. And so it's a very interesting timeline to look at because we're kind of bookend with stuff happening in terms of the U.S. elections, 11 months from the Israeli elections, and Israel not able to do anything really right now until the elections are over, until they have a strong mandate again. Interesting bookend of a timeline there, an 11-month period when literally Armageddon could basically wind up and occur. So it's a very interesting time that we're looking at and we're living in. The return of the Lord is near, so I hope you know the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior. He's coming again soon. End-time Bible prophecies are being fulfilled as we speak. We are living in the last days.